Good evening, I'm Ashley Banfield, and welcome to the second hour of Crime and Justice. And a big day of bad news for the singing, dancing surgeon who's been advertising her tummy tucks and her butt lifts with a series of homemade music videos that make for YouTube gold. But they probably won't bring Dr. Windell Boutte any more clients, at least for a little while, because her medical license was just suspended. This all coming on the same day as her much-anticipated interview airing exclusively on this network. The chance that she got to finally address those videos, as well as the malpractice lawsuits filed against her, because she's accused of botching procedures. One woman even saying that she was disfigured, another allegedly saying she was brain damaged by the procedure, and yet a third patient saying she was hospitalized with a punctured lung just last week. But Dr. Boutte is also accused of exposing her patients in a different way, both with deviating from normal operating room protocols and literally exposing them, exposing their nakedness, as she posted the videos online without all these blurry parts that we've added. Adding to that, some patients say she filmed them without their consent.
The dermatologist who recorded videos of herself singing and dancing during surgical procedures.
But your mama gay, y'all!
This is Atlanta dermatologist Windell Boutte.
Too much booty in the past!
Dancing doctor is more focused on singing and dancing than doing a proper procedure. She's losing focus. Now you have numerous complaints against her.
Patients claim that they suffered infections or disfigurement or even brain damage.
Got 3 big booties I could make. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah.
Tonight, Dr. Boutte is speaking out, saying the videos actually started with a patient, that a patient had the idea, and that everyone in them consented to being in them.
Had I had the forethought and the foresight that an entity could take those innocent, consented, educational and celebratory videos, misconstrue them, edit and fabricate the context, and use it for negative agendas, I would not have done it. The patients and I know the context.
I want to bring in my panel, HLN host Mike Galanos, who sat down with Dr. Boutte for that incredible exclusive interview. Also, Susan Witt is the attorney for some of Dr. Boutte's patients who are not happy with her work. Ojay Liburd claims that his mother was left brain damaged after a procedure at Dr. Boutte's office. And board-certified plastic surgeon Dr. John Turk is here in New York. And defense attorney William Bruised joins me as well. So, Mike Galanos, I'd like to begin with you. That last comment from Dr. Boutte, that she would never have done any of this, if she had thought that negative entities, I'm assuming she thinks us, would have taken these videos and edited them. And I just want to be very clear, we edited them to cover up the nudity of the patients lying, what appeared to be sedated, on the operating table. We did not edit them other than the way she presents them on Flipagram and in other videos from YouTube, etc. What was her demeanor like when you spent that hour and a half with her?
You know, she wanted to tell her side of the story, so she was confident. She had an attorney with her. Her son was with her. She tried to defend herself at every turn. And to that point, Ashley, I asked her about that toward the end. I thought back, it's like, okay, as you're wrapping up an interview like this, who are these negative entities, people with negative agendas? And she really didn't answer. We had like an awkward stare down almost for a moment. And I'm not sure if she was talking about potential media, potential former patients. It was an interesting exchange in the midst of all. That's one where she really did not have an answer. But to your point about these videos, and it's where we start, and that's why I said, doctor, you are known as the dancing doctor. Now you have numerous complaints. So the obvious equation is you could be reckless. And she said, no. Everybody consented. It was a safe, controlled environment through all of this. But we know at least 4 have said, no, I did not consent. And I'm horrified to see what I see on video. So it was a real back and forth. It's one where you remain focused as an interviewer. You try and hit her at every turn, and she tried to beat back at every turn. Ashley?
Well, let's let LaToya Redo do some of that beating back. She was on this program last night. She was a patient of Dr. Boutte, and I asked her the very question you and I are just talking about right now. Did she consent to being on that table? Because she found herself on the internet in full nakedness, and this was her answer. That's you on the operating table. Did you ever give consent to be videotaped like that?
No, ma'am.
Pretty simple answer. No, ma'am, nothing more than that. Mike Alanos, there was another case last week. After the coverage had begun, yet another woman went in for a lipo, breast augmentation, and Brazilian butt lift procedure and ended up being carted to the hospital in an ambulance. What happened?
That's it. And I believe it's a medical investigator investigated this, and it might have been the straw that broke the camel's back as far as Dr. Boutte having her medical license suspended. So it's May 30th, Ashley. You said it. Liposuction, breast augmentation, Brazilian butt lift. The next day, she goes for a post-operative visit about 2 in the afternoon. Does not see Dr. Boutte, sees somebody else. Then 7 hours later that night, she's having breathing issues. She has to be rushed to the ER where she has a collapsed lung. She's suffering from anemia due to blood loss, and she's still in the hospital. So that is the latest case. The other cases mentioned in that ruling, there's 7 in all, come from 2014, 15, and 16. That one is the most recent.
So I want to play this moment where you asked her about the effect of all of this, because the natural reaction might be that she's lost business with all of this publicity that is not positive. And she had the opposite response. Have a look.
So you're saying you gained patients?
Oh, yeah.
With the videos on YouTube, you gained more than you lost.
A plethora. And the responses on, the comments on my Instagram page, Body by Boutte, they were like, hey, Dr. Boutte, that was a dope video. That was boss. Can you do I want this song when you do my transformation, because I know your work is going to be amazing. Let's celebrate with my song.
And nobody ever said, I was going to go to you, but I saw the videos, and I was like,
Never,
no.
ever, ever.
So the Georgia Composite Medical Board had this to say about the summary suspension. The board finds that Dr. Boutte's continued practice of medicine poses a threat to the public health, safety, and welfare, and imperatively requires emergency action. Not just action, emergency action. Ojay Liburd, your mother is not able to walk on her own and will need care for the rest of her life. And the description that I have read is that she suffered brain damage after procedures at Dr. Boutte's clinic. Procedures that she wanted because she was getting married and just wanted a couple of little things to look her best for the marriage. You've been able to see some of the comments that Dr. Boutte has made to Mike Alanos. What's your reaction?
Well, the comments that she made, I'm kind of like just shocked because of the arrogance of how she could just be able to say that she's doing a good job and she's just having a really good time just doing it. And obviously the results are, you know, people going into emergency rooms and just like you said, a collapsed lung.
So, Ojay, one of the things that my colleague Mike Alanos did while he was sitting across from Dr. Boutte is ask whether she has ever apologized to you and to your family. And I find the answer that she gives remarkable and intriguing, and I'm going to get your reaction to it right after we play it. Have a look at this.
He says you never apologized, did you?
Mike, as I stated, for 18 years in practice, nothing catastrophic, major, no lawsuits, no claims. When any one of my patients suffer any side effect, complication, because we're talking surgery, anything goes wrong, I take it to heart. I don't sleep at night. So you asked me, did I apologize? Think about what I just said.
Well, what she just said is not true. There's been at least 4 malpractice settlements in the last few years. Ojay, react to that.
She did not apologize to me at all. Matter of fact, you know, she kept on telling me that at the emergency room that my mother was going to be fine, and her son, for some reason, was wearing scrubs and was telling me that my mom was going to be fine, as if he was doing the procedure himself. So it's just kind of shocking to know that she's saying this as if, like, she's really sincere.
Yeah, this is, by the way, just since October of last year. These 4 suits that we were able to actually get from the Georgia Composite Medical Board. I want to play, if I can, one of these moments, Mike Galanos, from your interview with Dr. Boutte, because a very striking video that I mean, they're all striking. To see a naked person who's seemingly heavily sedated shown in this manner is disturbing to me anyway. But this was very disturbing, to see the surgeon and the assistants dancing around with massive pieces of flesh that had been excised off the patient. I was fascinated to hear you question her about that and what her response was. Let's have a look.
There's a couple women who say they did not give consent, that they put an NA, not applicable, or did not consent, but yet they saw themselves and they're not happy. One where it looks like one of your assistants is holding up a piece of flesh. Mm-hmm. You see that? Mm-hmm. Did you see it at the time, and what's your reaction to it now as you see it unfold?
This was actually a patient that said, Dr. Boutte, once, you know, you remove this excess piece of skin, this lap baby, you know, I want to celebrate that. So I said, you know what? She said, just come up with a way to celebrate. So that was just our way of saying, you are free, you know, of this 3.5 feet of skin, a foot wide, that you have been carrying, camouflaging, and quite frankly, drowned you of your confidence, drained you of your confidence, and it's gone. Hallelujah.
So the idea here is hallelujah, Mike. She's saying that the patients celebrated this, wanted it to be videotaped, consented to it, set it all up, and let it happen, correct?
That's her take. That's what she says. And you know, as I listened to that again earlier when I asked her about that, she said it was during the recovery period when these videos would take place. Now we're seeing that's clearly not in the recovery period. That is a cut, and that, I believe, is mid-procedure.
There's a lot of stuff that's mid-procedure.
Right.
You're darn right about that.
Exactly.
So real quickly, Susan Witt, you have said to us that since this coverage began last week, you have had dozens upon dozens of phone calls, people coming out of the woodwork saying, this happened to me, I'm unsatisfied, I'm happy, I feel as though I have had damage, but also I did not consent to being on YouTube or on the internet. How many people said that they found themselves on the internet and never consented to it?
We've had at least somewhere between 4 and 8 patients who either saw themselves in the videos or saw their images posted on her social media without their consent. A couple of clients have said they had sent her cease and desist letters asking to have their images taken down, and she still has not taken them down.
So there are lots of things that we can see that seem obvious to us, the layperson, but the person directly below me is Dr. John Turk, who knows a thing or two about an operating room. And Dr. Turk, when we come back after the break, I want you to point out all the things that the layperson might not know is going wrong in the OR during the singing and the dancing. And as it turns out, there are many things going wrong right here.